This is one of the most remarkable things that I think we have seen this franchise do really in its history. And I know that sounds like a hyperbolic statement. It's not meant to be. I think it's accurate. They have pivoted away from the direction they were going in into a completely different direction. That doesn't happen with the Cincinnati Bengals. They have chosen to back away from a fight. It is often said the Bengals care more about winning at the negotiating table than on the football field. I'm not sure how much I agree with that, but it has been said often. Why? Because they don't back down. Negotiating with the Bengals is like negotiating with a brick wall, right? Historically so. They dig in. They dig in for a fight. They've done this with former players. They've done this with contracts. They've done this with contracts that have nothing to do with players. They dig in. They didn't dig in here. They showed some flexibility. They pivoted in another direction. Now, they kind of got bodied here a little bit. Joe Burrow beat him up. Joe Burrow didn't just come out and say, I want T. Higgins once. He came out and said it about a half dozen times. He made the comparison to what the Philadelphia Eagles have done with their team. Like he came out and put the Bengals in a corner. There are many of us who wondered, are the Bengals going to try to fight out of that corner? Or are they going to drop the gloves, try to negotiate, and talk themselves out of that corner and find some common ground? They have found some common ground. They got beaten up by an agent. They had an agent say to them, want one? Got to take the other. Want Jamar? T's coming with him. Now, it sounds obvious to you and I, for the most part, that if they say that, if an agent says, if you want T. Higgins or if you want Jamar Chase, you got to have T. Higgins. If you want Jamar Chase to sign long-term, then you've got to pay T. Higgins. Like, it sounds easy, right? Well, of course you would say yes. But knowing what you know about how the Bengals have historically operated, would it surprise you to find out that the Bengals said, yeah, that's cool. We don't respond to ultimatums. So guess what? Just because you want us to sign both doesn't mean we will. Like, the Bengals, historically speaking, do not respond to ultimatums. So the fact that they have done that here, the fact that they have avoided war with Joe Burrow. By the way, there is history of the Bengals going to war with a quarterback, right? It's part of what has loomed over this entire thing. How many times have you heard the comparisons? Joe Burrow, Carson Palmer. Will Joe do what Carson did? Joe Burrow in 2025 is Carson Palmer 2008. You don't want Joe Burrow 2027 to be Carson Palmer 2011. They are willing to go to war. They are willing to stand their ground. They are willing to dig in and fight. They are willing to say F you to an ultimatum. They didn't do any of those things. That's remarkable. It's also really, really good, but that is remarkable. This is, and that to me is my biggest takeaway. We could talk about roster construction and Duke Tobin and the draft and what's next and if this is going to work. And God knows we have months to do that. But my first thought last night as I'm watching this unfold is I almost can't believe this is the Cincinnati Bengals.